News in detail. Now, Oman Sultan Haitham bin Tariq is in New Delhi on a 3-day state visit to India. He will be received by Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Saturday. This is the first visit to India by an Omani Sultan in nearly 25 years. Sultan Haitham bin Tariq will hold a meeting with PM Modi at the Hyderabad House. He will also visit the National Gallery of Modern Art. On Friday, he met Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and the two leaders discussed strengthening strategic ties between Muscat and New Delhi. The Indian government's outreach campaign, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, reached the Vijaypur town in Jammu and Kashmir. The Principal Secretary to the Government, Public Works Department and Agriculture and Farmer Welfare Department joined the Yatra on Friday. They listened to the Indian Prime Minister's message through the Information, Education and Communication van. The occasion was marked by cultural performances on the theme of Dharti Kahe Pukar Ke by school students. The theme reflects the need to protect the environment and promote sustainable development. The beneficiaries of various government schemes also shared the stories under Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani program. Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with beneficiaries of the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra today. The Prime Minister will also address the gathering on the occasion. Thousands of beneficiaries from across the country will join the event. During the program, the Prime Minister will flag off the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Telangana and Mizoram. India's Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has approved the proposal to declare Surat Airport as an international airport on Friday. PM Modi hailed the decision and tweeted, "Surat is synonymous with dynamism, innovation and vibrancy. Today's cabinet decision on declaring Surat Airport as an international one will boost connectivity and commerce, and it will give the world an opportunity to discover Surat's amazing hospitality, especially the culinary delights." Elevating Surat Airport to international status is paramount for enhancing economic growth, attracting foreign investment and bolstering diplomatic ties. Moving on, the European Union has failed to agree on a more than $50 billion package of assistance for Ukraine at a 2-day meeting in Brussels. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has so far refused to lift his veto, but leaders are confident that the deal is within reach. DD India's Alex Carrier reports from Brussels.
Ukraine will have to wait at least a few more weeks to receive more than $50 billion worth of European support. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban refused to lift his country's veto on the new aid package as part of a broader negotiations over the EU's budget. But leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron, are confident that a deal is within reach, meaning they'll get back around the table here in January or early February to try and finalize an agreement. While Ukraine waits for that outcome, it also celebrates the decision by EU leaders to open its membership negotiations, a long process Kyiv has been eager to start. The negotiations are a 38-stage journey of reform and alignment with the European Union, one that could take a decade. Nevertheless, the European Commission's president says the move sends a clear message.
In a world that is shaken by multiple crises, it's an investment in stability, it's an investment in security of our continent, but of course it's also an investment in prosperity for our continent, and it's a big investment in democracies.
The EU's 27 heads of state also discussed the conflict in the Middle East, with a majority of member states wanting the bloc to call for a ceasefire. They discussed that and potential sanctions against Hamas and Israeli settlers in the West Bank, but stopped short of making any decisions or formal announcements. It's been a long and at times tense meeting of the EU's 27 leaders. They leave Brussels with more work to do on aid for Kyiv and their position on the war in Gaza, but also in the knowledge that Ukraine is one step closer to European Union membership. Alex Carrier in Brussels reporting for DD India.
And this comes as a series of explosions resounded throughout the Ukraine capital Kiev earlier early on Saturday as air defense units engaged Russian drones. Explosions were reported on both banks of the Dnipro River that runs through the city. There were no immediate reports of casualties or serious damage. A new series of explosions hit areas near Kiev's central districts. The witness said air raid sirens went off on the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, but on the western bank, police warned residents of the air raid through loudspeakers. Now, Finland, the newest member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is about to sign a new bilateral defense pact with the United States. It comes as Finland again closes its border with Russia, accusing the Kremlin of orchestrating an influx of asylum seekers from Africa, the Middle East and Asia in response to the defense deal with Washington. Lead India's correspondent from Washington, Caroline Malloon, reports for more updates.
The defence agreement is due to be signed between Finland and the United States on Monday. It still needs to be approved by Finnish lawmakers, but it does include provisions for American soldiers to access 15 military areas and facilities, but not have permanent bases across Finland. That's a country that shares a 1,300-kilometre border with Russia. Well, Helsinki has actually closed that border again after more than 300 asylum seekers from places that include Somalia, Kenya and Pakistan entered from Russia over 2 days this week. They see that the flow is being orchestrated by Moscow as a retaliation for the US defense deal, but the Kremlin denies that. Finland joined NATO in April because of Russia's assault on Ukraine after decades of non-alignment. Other countries continue to stay neutral in relations towards Russia and Ukraine. But for Finland, that's right on the border, the conflict is too close and it's too critical not to take a stance and align, in this case with the United States, particularly on its defence deal. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
Now let's take a look at some more stories making news around the world. Over 2 tons of cocaine disguised as nuggets of charcoal were seized by police in the Colombian port of Barranquilla on Friday. The authorities said the traffickers hid the drugs in nuggets of charcoal that were intended for Europe. The estimated market value of the drugs is over 10 million euros. Bolivia opened its first lithium plant on Friday. President Luis said this is a historic step to becoming one of the world's top producers of the precious metal. The lithium carbonate industrial plant will produce 15,000 tons in 2024 and 1 lakh in 2025. Bolivia is the global leader in lithium resources with an estimated reserves of 23 million metric tons. And a unique gingerbread exhibition is on display in New York City, featuring contributions from over 50 architecture, landscape and design offices, each offering their interpretation of sustainability in edible creations. The theme for the exhibition is climate change, in particular sea level rise and storm surges. Now, Venezuela and Guyana have signed a non-aggression agreement amid tension between the two countries. The neighboring states both claim the disputed and oil-producing region of Essequibo. However, key issues of the dispute, such as the extraction of resources in the region, were not addressed. Lead India's correspondent, Maritrini Mena, has more details.
Venezuela and Guyana have agreed not to use force or threaten each other as concerns over the disputed Essequibo region grow. After a meeting hosted by the Caribbean nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and Guyana's President Mohamed Irfan Ali met for talks. The gathering was promoted by neighboring countries such as Brazil, the prime ministers of several Caribbean states, and 2 observers from the United Nations, as part of efforts to avoid a military confrontation between the 2 countries. This border dispute goes back to the late 1800s, when Guyana demarcated its territory. The former British colony has a large Indo-Guyanese community, and Hinduism is the second biggest religion. Venezuela argued Guyana illegally expanded its border and took land that belonged to Venezuela. Since then, Caracas has been claiming the territory over which Guyana has administrative control. But tensions began to rise almost a decade ago, when large deposits of oil were found in the disputed area. Earlier this month, Venezuela held a referendum to claim the right to that land. Venezuelan officials reported full public support for the initiative. President Nicolas Maduro presented a new Venezuelan map adding the Essequibo region and ordered state companies to exploit oil and gas there. Guyana is challenging the move by its neighbor. The Essequibo is a vast territory, mostly an isolated jungle larger than Greece. Foreign ministers from both countries and other officials created a joint commission to work on resolving the dispute. The two countries agreed to another meeting in Brazil in March. Mari Trinimena in Caracas, reporting for DD India.
A Danish shipping company AP Moller Maersk will pause all container shipments through the Red Sea until further notice. A spokesperson for the company on Friday said the company has instructed all Maersk vessels in the area bound to pass through the Bab al-Mandab Strait to pause their journey until further notice following the attack on a container vessel. Maersk denied a claim by Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi movement that a militia had struck a Maersk vessel. Maersk said the company was deeply concerned about the highly escalated security situation in the southern Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. As Israel continues its operations against Hamas, 3 hostages held by the terror group mistakenly killed. And Haryana tops the medal tally with 35 gold medals in Khelo India Para Games 2023.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. As Israel continues its operation against Hamas, 3 hostages being held in Gaza by Hamas terrorists were mistakenly killed during an incident. The Israeli military said the hostages were killed during combat with terrorists in Gaza and expressed its condolences to the families while saying there would be full transparency in the investigation into the incident.
I would like to update the public with difficult and painful news about an event that occurred earlier today. During the battles in Shejaiya, the entire IDF mistakenly identified 3 kidnapped Israelis as a threat. As a result, the force fired at them and they were killed. After the shooting, during a scan and examination, an immediate suspicion arose regarding the identity of the dead, and their bodies were quickly transferred for examination in Israel, and there the hostages were identified. Yotam Hamim, his memory is blessed, who was kidnapped from Kafar Aza by the terrorist organization Hamas on October 7. Samer Talalka, his memory is blessed, who was kidnapped from Niram by the terrorist organization Hamas on October 7, and another hostage whose name we will not mention at the request of his family.
Israel's parliament approved an additional budget of $7 billion to the national budget to help cover cost of conflict in Gaza, such as compensation for military reservists and emergency housing for the internally displaced. The amendment, ratified by a vote of 59 lawmakers in favor and 45 opposed, increased the 2023 budget to $139 billion. as well passed the original 2023 budget along with the 2024 budget in May. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Mirhana Spoljaric. Israel's Prime Minister office described to the ICRC president the atrocities carried out by Hamas terrorists. Netanyahu also presented to the ICRC president a package of medicines, demanding the Red Cross to deliver to the hostages in Gaza. Spoljaric met earlier with families of hostages in Tel Aviv.
There's a difference between the deliberate and systematic murder, maiming, and menacing of civilians, which is what terrorism is, and the unintended consequences, unintended casualties that accompany any warfare. And this is the entire difference. And I want to express my gratitude for your help in supporting the release of the hostages. But at the same time, some of the statements that have come out from the organization seem to not make the distinction that I've just made.
Meanwhile, Israeli and Palestinian representatives to the United Nations made their case in favor and against a ceasefire before the General Assembly on Friday. UN General Assembly passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire on Tuesday. That resolution had 153 countries voting in favor and 23 abstaining. The US and Israel, which argued a ceasefire only benefits Hamas, voted against the measure along with 8 other countries.
A ceasefire secures is a future for the genocidal jihadists. It is only Hamas that this resolution is defending. Stop hiding your intentions behind your suits and diplomatic wording. Humanitarian ceasefire. This resolution has a distorted agenda. At least make this clear to all member states. This resolution aims to keep Hamas in power, period.
For those attempting to shame those who call for a humanitarian ceasefire, you have failed. The General Assembly spoke. The world spoke. 153 countries spoke. Shame is on those who refuse to stand against atrocities.
Britain's Prince Harry has been awarded significant damages after London's High Court ruled on Friday that he had been the victim of phone hacking and other unlawful acts by journalists on British newspapers, which was in the knowledge of the editors. The Prince became the first senior British royal for 130 years to give evidence in court when he appeared as the star witness at a trial in June against Mirror Group newspapers, the publisher of Daily Mirror, Sunday Mirror and Sunday People, who he said had targeted him for 15 years. The judge's decision to award him £140,600, that is around $180,700, and his conclusion that the paper's editors and executive knew about the wrongdoing will be seen as a major victory for the Prince.
The acts listed in this judgment are prime examples of what happens when the power of the press is abused. I respectfully call upon the authorities, the financial regulator, the stock market, who were deliberately deceived by Mirror Group, and indeed the Metropolitan Police and prosecuting authorities to do their duty for the British public and to investigate bringing charges against the company and those who have broken the law.
And reacting to the ruling recognizing Prince Harry as a victim of phone hacking and other unlawful acts, Britain's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said on Friday that everyone needs to operate within the law.
Yeah, look, I haven't seen that. You know, I believe, obviously, in a free and fair press, but ultimately everyone needs to operate within the law. That's what anyone would expect, and that's exactly what, you know, this country's always been proud to stand behind.
And the Court of Justice of West Africa's regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has ordered the immediate release and reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum, the ousted president of Niger Republic. He has been held in detention since July 26th by members of a military junta who toppled his government. DD India's Tessa Makende reports.
The judge in the case heard in Nigeria's capital Abuja says the act of the military junta was a violation to the constitution of Niger Republic. He adds that Mohamed Bazoum remains the president of the country. Lawyers to the deposed president took the case to court in September, seeking his release and reinstatement to power. The military rulers have yet to respond to the ruling, which Bazoum's lawyers say is not subject to any appeal. The lawyers have called on member states of ECOWAS to ensure the court's decision is effectively applied. ECOWAS heads of government have slammed a range of sanctions on the junta in a bid to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic. Under the sanctions, the Nigerian government has cut off trade relations and electricity supply to the country. The ECOWAS members have also set up a committee to negotiate with the junta for the president's release and have threatened to invade the country with military power to restore constitutional order if the junta remains defiant. Tessum Akende in Jos, reporting for DD India.
On to sports updates now, we'll start with women's cricket. Deepti Sharma's outstanding all-round performance comprising a half-century and a 5-wicket haul set the stage for India women's historic home victory against England in the one-off test in Navi Mumbai. Her patient 67 in the first innings contributed to India's total of 428, and later her remarkable 5.3 overs, 4 maiden, 7 runs and 5 wicket spell dismantled England's lineup, giving the hosts a substantial 292-run lead. Despite Nat Skyver-Brunt's solid 59, England was dismissed for 136 in their first innings. India, opting not to enforce the follow-on, concluded the day at 186 for 6 in their second innings, establishing an overall lead of 478. All right, we'll talk about Para Khelo India Games 2023. Around 1,400 top para athletes from around the country are competing at the maiden Khelo India Para Games. As the multi-sport event comes close to its end, the level of excitement remains high. Chasing their dreams, para athletes will fight in para archery, para shooting and para football. So far, Haryana tops the medal tally with 35 gold medals, 37 silver and 19 bronze medals. Uttar Pradesh are second on the medal table with 24 gold medals, 18 silvers and 9 bronze, followed by Tamil Nadu with 17 gold medals. Now, Rajasthan para football team made it to the semi-finals of the inaugural edition of Khelo India Para Games, and the team is super elated to be a part of the games. Let's take a listen to what the entire team of Rajasthan has to say about their participation and preparation for the semis.
So CP football is also one of the tournament that is being played, and Rajasthan has won the group stage match. Let's talk to the team. Many congratulations to you. How was the experience?
I think it was good, fantastic, extraordinary. The good thing is people with disability got an opportunity to perform and play. So I think this gives them a chance to be inclusive in the society. And we need to spread awareness.
Exactly, and Coach Rakim is also here with us. Coach, when we talk about spreading awareness, what do you think, how much Khelo India Para Games has helped you and the entire team in showcasing your skills?
Wow, Para Nationals is like an amazing showcase by Ministry of Youth Affairs, Science, CPSFI, our organization, Cerebral Palsy Sport Federation of India. It's a wonderful job. The opportunity they are giving to our players, remarkable. We have no words. Today we win the match, and now we are in semi-finals, and hopefully we'll win this tournament for Rajasthan. So hope for the best to all. Yes.
Indeed, and when we talk about winning and losing are just two things, लेकिन participation भी equally important है. उसके लिए क्या कहना है आप?
खेलो इंडिया फर्स्ट पैरा गेम्स में पार्टिसिपेट करके बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. खेल और जीत एक सिक्के के दो पहलू हैं. वो तो खैर होते ही हैं, लेकिन यहाँ आकर और अपनी टीम के साथ राजस्थान का प्रतिनिधित्व करना एक सबसे बड़ी और एक महत्वपूर्ण बात हो जाती है. तो मैं इसको लेकर बहुत खुश हूँ, और मैं सभी टीम के प्लेयर्सों को और कोचेस को, मैनेजर्स को बधाई देता हूँ कि हम कैसा हमारे साथ वो कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर खड़े हैं, और आगे भी मैं यही उम्मीद और आशा करता हूँ कि वो इसी प्रकार हमारे साथ खड़े रहेंगे और हमारा मनोबल और हौसला बढ़ाते रहेंगे और आगे भी हम ऐसे ही अपना टीम का प्रतिनिधित्व करेंगे और आगे राजस्थान का नाम रोशन करेंगे। थैंक यू।
अब सेमीफाइनल्स के लिए टीम बिल्कुल तैयार है?
बिल्कुल रेडी है, बहुत मोटिवेटेड हैं किड्स एंड लाइक पहली बार दे आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन दिस खेला पैरा नेशनल्स। लाइक सी द स्माइल और देयर फेसेस, लाइक एक कोच के लिए सबसे बड़ी चीज़ यही होती है। तो लाइक माई टीम इज फुल्ली मोटिवेटेड, वी विल win this championship.
Is the team all set? Yes. Are you all set for the semi-finals? Yes. So there you saw the CP football team. They are already in the semi-finals, but their motivational level is really high, and the performance we saw was really exceptional. They also thanked the government for the initiative. So this is Deepika reporting with camera person Mohit.
So India celebrates Vijay Diwas today, commemorating the victory of Indian Armed Forces in Operation Vijay against Pakistan in the 1971 war. President of India Draupadi Murmu, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attended a Swagat Samaroh, which is a welcome ceremony at the Army House to commemorate the day. Vijay Diwas is celebrated every year in India to mark the victory of India in 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. After a fierce battle that lasted for 13 days, the war ended on 16 December 1971. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.